Well, I always enjoy checking out Xbox 360 backwards compatible games and how they play on the Xbox Series X and S, what enhancements they have, and just how they stack up so long after they were first released. But in this video, these are the Xbox 360 games to play that will still impress you with how they look graphically. And with things like Auto HDR on some of them, they can look downright impressive. Now, of course, the resolutions are lower, but even beyond the visual department, these games are still so much fun to play and still hold up fantastically today. But if you enjoy the video, then please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, letting me know which Xbox 360 backwards compatible games have impressed you the most. And please share the video as it helps a great deal. Check the description for a link to the Discord where we talk everything Xbox and gaming. And with that, let's check out the Xbox 360 games that still look stunning. First up at number 10, it's Crysis 3, and there is only one reason that this game gets so far down the list, and that's because the frame rate is downright horrendous most of the time. And with the amount of frame rate drops and stutters going on, I could almost count the frames as they appeared on screen. This was a series most definitely beyond what the Xbox 360 could achieve. Hell, Crysis was beyond what most PCs could even do. But the chugging Xbox 360 could not do this game justice at all, and hopefully we see a Crysis Trilogy remaster, one better than the remastered first game we got recently. But apart from all of the technical issues, Crysis 3 still looks great visually. Great environmental effects such as the glare of the sun, or when debris is raining down when an explosion goes off. Even the character models and their animations hold up, and this was an incredibly late title in the Xbox 360's life, with it launching in 2013. The same year the Xbox One would come out. It's a very good game, even though the sequels did sheer away from what the original was and made them more console friendly, especially on the weaker hardware. But check this game out if you've missed it and have no other way of playing it, as it's still a very good game to play if you can put up with the frame rate problems. For those really susceptible to frame rate issues, skip it altogether maybe, but it can still look damn good from a purely visual perspective. And for number 9, it's Call of Duty Black Ops, and for many, this is continually ranked as one of the best COD campaigns, if not the best, and it's definitely right up the top of my list and gave me what I like most in a Call of Duty single player story. A modern day or future setting with an intriguing story and some decent characters to go along with it, which isn't always the case with the series, but Black Ops has a great selection of varied locations, and these, along with the shorter campaigns, really help to keep the game moving along by constantly showing the player new things to see, but also not overstaying its welcome either. Of course, the gunplay is rock solid and showed why the games have been so damn popular for so long, but it also had the immersive single player for those that are after that, like myself. I actually play the series for the campaigns, not the multiplayer, plus Black Ops and its sequel still hold up incredibly well today, and future sequels never seem to match the earlier entrants. Now this can have some, well, ugly textures as they're quite blurry, so try not to get too close to them, but the game runs fantastically no matter what's going on. Great performance and rock solid gunplay are standouts, and it's still just a great first person shooter. Next at number 8 is Battlefield 3, another looker in the long running series, and even though it's running on such older hardware on the Xbox 360, it's still a great looking game today for a number of reasons. Whether playing through the sun-drenched locations or the levels which are set at night, players get to feast their eyes on one of the better looking games from the generation, seeing the lighting from the streetlights or indoor environments, giving everything a soft white glow, seeing it softly light up the smoke or fog effects, watching the fire rage from burnt out cars as the hail of bullets takes over the soundscape, watching the remnants of battle rage all around you, whether it's set at night or the sun-soaked glary streets as you shoot the enemies across a plaza. Battlefield 3 still looks and runs great. Yes, it has the lower resolution and textures, but it's still a hell of a lot of fun. For number 7, it's the underappreciated and often forgotten Enslaved Odyssey to the West, and just let me say this up front, this game is excellent with a great relationship between the main characters that even if this didn't look as good as it does, I still highly recommend playing this. But when it comes to the visuals, the first thing you'll notice is just how colourful and vibrant this world is, with all of the grass and vegetation which has slowly taken hold of the city. From the large buildings off in the distance or the action set pieces which show off how much more cinematic games became on the Xbox 360 generation. Enslaved is an awesome game overall. In terms of graphics, it has a unique visual style which I can pick instantly whenever I see it, as the colour and character design are just so memorable for myself. And speaking of the characters, the main two of Monkey and Trip look excellent for the time, and although they lack detail compared to games today, they still hold up in cutscenes close up with their facial details and how they're animated, including how they move, especially Monkey as he flips, jumps, and climbs all over the environment. It still looks fantastic, but please, if you haven't played this and you enjoy action adventures, then I highly suggest you invest the time into it. And at number 6 is the stylized Mirror's Edge, and I use that term as Mirror's Edge blends the visual style of being super clean and pristine, but also it's so much this way that even though it looks realistic, it also has its very own unique look to it, and which makes it another game you can instantly identify based upon visuals. From its large, futuristic and mostly white city, Mirror's Edge uses this clean and choice of colours to accentuate the things it needs to intentionally, especially the colour red, which plays its part gameplay wise by showing players environmental objects which they can jump off, climb onto, or go under, so anything designated with this colour, players can identify its purpose straight away. Watching the brightly lit sun-drenched city as you parkour your way from rooftop to rooftop to get to your objectives, taking on the enemies or running by them, you'll get to view the scale that the city has and the verticality, plus the density of everything, which would improve upon in the sequel due to the more powerful hardware. Moving between the indoors and outdoors as you try to keep the momentum is a great feeling. Plus, of course, it just looks great and unique. Up at number 5, we have the absolute gem of Dead Space, which still looks excellent to this day, especially the main character design and suit, plus what a lot of other games don't have, and it's the almost complete lack of a HUD, which is overlaid onto the screen, and instead, it just becomes part of the game world. Having your health be shown by the gauge on the back of the suit, having ammo information be displayed when you look at it, or knowing where to go by a simple button press that disappears. I've spoken about what makes Dead Space so freaking fantastic in other videos, but graphically once again, it's just the lower resolution really that lets it down. But the game world itself and its design more than make up for it, with dimly or bright lit areas, thick bloodstains that are smeared across the floor, showing the violence on board the Ishimura, the way Isaac moves through the station or through zero gravity, the design of the enemies as they shamble towards you. It's all brilliant, and it would be stunning to see a full-blown remake of this on current hardware. And the same goes for the soundscape as well, which becomes so much more engrossing when wearing headphones. Dead Space still looks fantastic, and the game itself still holds up incredibly well. For number 4, it's Alan Wake, and this looks fantastic, and once again, despite the lower than ideal resolution, this also gets high on the list for me, as I've always just loved the hell out of this setting. Its country, lakeside locations with the forest and mountains that surround the town of Bright Falls, and Alan Wake takes all of this and goes beyond merely just being a great showcase of the Xbox 360 hardware at the time, and creates a fantastic setting in order to tell this great story. The strangeness of the characters and story go hand in hand with the environment as players make their way through forest areas as they use their flashlight to stun the enemies, then try and kill them and make your way to safety, moving on to the next area as you try and piece together what's going on. The light from your torch or streetlights gives that moody atmosphere which is so needed, and the great slow-mo and explosion effects you see as you dispose of the enemies as the fog, mist and darkness all blend together to deliver this fantastically beautiful and moody setting. Even when we get to see the town and surroundings during the day with the sun high in the sky, it has that Twin Peaks vibe going on which everybody already knows, and it's still a great looking game. And number 3 is Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption, a great looking, vast open world where the draw distances stretch way further than it has any right to. From its open grassy fields and desert areas, trees, forests and canyons that all add to this really authentic world which was created, and Rockstar really took this to the next level in the sequel. Whether you're a fan of the game or not, comparing the first game to the second really shows the difference a console generation can make, as Red Dead Redemption 2 is simply sublime to look at. And yes, the first game won't be impressing you anywhere near to that extent, but it still shows off what the Xbox 360 was capable of pumping out, and along with looking fantastic for the time, it also ran really well, which couldn't be said for a large amount of the games from the generation. Character animations and detail were of a very high standard as well, making your way through the dusty and arid environments as you ride your horse through the small settlements. If you've never played this, then you really should, and along with Grand Theft Auto, it was a game which really showed what the hardware could do compared to the previous gen. Apart from the great settings and visuals that hold up, it also has some great characters and story, which is definitely worth playing through. Taking out number 2 is Castlevania Lord of Shadows, and to say I was impressed with this, especially since this game passed me by for years and I only played it for the first time recently, but geez, does this game look downright awesome at times when playing on the Xbox Series X, and I just couldn't believe that this was even capable of running at all on the original Xbox 360 hardware. Apart from being a very enjoyable action and adventure game, which shows its age just a little in terms of its gameplay, and a few other games from that gen just did their action a little better, but when it comes to the visual presentation of the game, Castlevania Lord of Shadows takes it to the next level, even from the very start of the game, as we follow the main character of Gabriel in the dark and rain-soaked setting. It looks absolutely stunning, as do the character models in terms of detail and how they're animated. Seeing the camera pan back so players can check out the large and detailed environments, which can also show off the scale of what's happening at times. If you're after a game to check out via backwards compatibility, but you also want something that holds up for the eyes, then check this one out. It's definitely impressive. And at number 1 is the both visually beautiful and equally awesome game of Gears of War 3. And whereas the original game was a bit bogged down in its time period where many games seem to want to include every shade of brown and grey that was humanly possible, Gears 2 improved the quality of the visuals and variety, and that just continued in Gears of War 3. Moving through the levels, we see the great looking architecture of the buildings, and that of course extends to the excellent, huge and beefy main character models, and that of the excellently designed enemies of the Locust Horde. It's hard for older games to impress in a completely new generation, let alone one from 2 generations ago, but Gears of War 3 has some great effects as things explode and blood flies everywhere, or how the lighting goes above and beyond many other games of the generation. From the lighting in the sky or the glow of the bullets being shot from your Lancer, how the light streams through wherever it can, the light rays further impressing and making the game still hold up on hardware, which is so much more powerful than the Xbox 360. Gears of War 3 still looks and plays amazingly, a great game which is a part of a great series. So there's a selection of some really awesome looking Xbox 360 backwards compatible games, and I still have more to get through in a future video, as like always, some games don't hold up as well as what you remember, but in terms of this list, these definitely do and more. But which Xbox 360 games do you think are still the most graphically impressive games that others should check out? Please let me know down in the comments, hit that thumbs up, subscribe and share the video as it really helps the channel. Check the description for a link to the Discord as well, where we talk everything Xbox and gaming, and I'll see you on the next video.